Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. It is December, it is the holiday season, and we are going to be making Viv's Addiction. These are a sweet and spicy spiced pecan, roasted, glazed, whatever you want to call it, pecans. Now, during the holidays, we'd like to have pecans. We give these sorts of things as gifts, either just the plain butter, salt and butter roasted nuts, which I'll include a link for here, or something that's sweet and spicy like this. So to prepare for this recipe, I have my stand mixer with a whisk attachment. I'm sure you could use a hand mixer or your muscles and a whisk. My arm would be very tired, but we're going to be taking egg whites to a stiff peak stage, and so this is the best option. And I have my oven preheated to 350. And so let's get started. I'm gonna crack these and separate the whites and the yolks. The yolks I'll probably just save for maybe making some extra rich scrambled eggs for myself tomorrow or something, or you can make like a quick custard sauce, whatever. So I just crack them and try not to get any of the yolk in with the white. There we go. I'm gonna put this in here. Okay, so I've separated both my eggs. We had a small technical difficulty, whatever, I'm sure we'll be editing around that. And there are the yolks, no, the whites are both in here, and we're going to just whisk them until they're foamy. We're not going for the stiff peak stage just yet. I would call this very foamy, and the first ingredients that I'm going to add is I'm going to whisk them and slowly add some salt and sugar. So we'll be doing that, and then we're going to be beating them until they are stiff peaks before we do anything else. Not stiff peaks yet. Certainly not. Salty. Having a hard time getting to a stiff peak stage, but I think they're, let me see. So stiff peaks, in case you didn't know, you should be able to turn it up and the peak stays and it doesn't fall down. I'm gonna try for a little bit longer. That's almost there, maybe. I think this is good, honestly. It's pretty good. It's good enough. My husband is trying to backseat drive here. He's saying I'm not there, but I say it's good enough because I have made these before, and when I added all the spices, it kind of just fell anyway. So as long as you can coat the nuts with these, it's good. I swear, because all this is meant to do is to coat the nuts with the spices. So now I'm going to whisk in the spices that she calls for. I've got ground chipotle powder. I couldn't find this at my local grocery store. I had to go to Penzeys for that. I have ground coriander. A lot of these look the same. I have ground cumin and just sweet paprika, not smoked, just regular, and not spicy, just regular sweet paprika. If it's just labeled paprika, that's the one you want. And I'm going to whisk those into this and we'll see how it goes. So I've got all the spices in here, but because there aren't a ton of egg whites, some of them are sort of stuck to the side of the bowl. So I'm just going to kind of stir it up a little bit with my whisk, and then, or with my spatula, and then whisk it a little bit more before we stir in the pecans. That is not at all working right there, but oh well. Okay, I'm gonna call that pretty good. Everything looks mixed up, and it is not, as you can tell, still stiff peak stage. It kind of just becomes more of a liquid again, but I'm pretty sure that is fine. So I'm going to put this in the sink so I don't make everything. Oh, actually I can put it right here. I'll put it right here. I've already made my countertop messy. So I've got a lot of pecans here that I'm just gonna pour in. They are pecan halves or pieces. Whatever you like really is fine. Mine are mostly halves, but of course there are a few just pieces in there. And we're going to use the spatula to coat them with this mixture. And see, that's why I was like, we don't really need it to be fully stiff peak stage. It just needs to coat these nuts, and this is doing the job just fine. So my backseat cooker over there didn't need to worry. All right, so I'm going to move this and clean up a little bit, and we'll be right back. So I have my baking sheet with a sheet of parchment paper on it. I have to say, I got this tip from Highfalutin Low Carb. If you buy the pre-cut sheets of parchment paper, it's a lot better because they're not all rolled up and they want to just lay flat on your baking tray. So I like it. I think I just found mine on Amazon. And so we're just gonna spread these out. On the tray. We're gonna try to make them a single layer and not get off of the baking parchment stuff, which is always fun. If you don't want it to move, you can put a little butter on your pan before you put down the parchment paper, and that will help it not move while you're futzing with your pecans here. Okay, that's as good as I can do. Now these are gonna go into the 350-degree oven in the center rack for 10 minutes. And then we're gonna come back and do something else. So we'll see you in 10 minutes. Okay, the pecans have been in the oven for 10 minutes, and now I'm supposed to use a metal spatula to lift them up and turn them over and break up any clumps that I see. And this whole moving parchment is annoying. I don't know if butter will help at this point because it would be all melted. Maybe I can use my, so you're supposed to lift them up. This is the only metal spatula I own, by the way, but it's a good one. Turn them over and then spread them out again and break up any clumps. So that is our goal here. Basically stir them up, turn them over so they're not just the tops aren't just always on the top. So I am getting them all back out into a single layer again, as much as I can, trying to break them up. And then we're gonna do this about 2 more times over the course of 20 more minutes. It should take about 30 minutes, and when they're done, they should be sort of a dark brown, and they should sound hard and not soft. So right now, they don't sound hard when I touch them with my spatula. They're not crispy, they're not done yet. And she says that the freshness of your pecans will depend how long this takes for you. And this is pecan season, so I didn't buy them freshly shelled or anything. I usually buy them in bulk from a warehouse type store, but just because we use a lot of them. It is pecan season, so getting fresh ones is more likely, so rather than older ones, which will already be a little bit more dried out. So back in the oven, I'm gonna do that one more time, and then we'll show you what they look like when they're done. Actually, I'm gonna do that 2 more times, sorry. Do that 2 more times, 30 minutes, give or take, and then we'll see you when they're done. My nuts are done, and when they are done, you just let them cool on the sheet. And I'm gonna break them up and put them in a closed container, an airtight container. You could probably just put them in a plastic bag, but I had this available, so I'm gonna use it. I ended up cooking mine for an extra, I think 15-ish minutes in 5-minute intervals, until I actually felt that they were a nice dark brown, and they're not burnt, and they're very tasty. They are the little bits of the egg mixture that I sort of ate a little bit while I was turning them over and tasting them seemed really spicy to me, but with the nuts, it's not that spicy. You get a nice smoky kind of flavor that with the cumin actually always tastes a little bit smoky to me, and probably the chipotle adds a big hit of the smokiness because that's like a smoked pepper. We've made these before, but we did not have the ground chipotle. So I can't remember exactly what we used. Probably just some other type of ground red spicy pepper. Those seem to be spicier than these, according to my husband. He doesn't think these are spicy at all, but he has a less delicate spice palette than I do. So if you like a spicy, smoky, little bit sweet kind of nut, you would love these. They're not that hard to make. The whipping the egg yolks took quite a bit of time, but it was very much worth it. And there's not a whole lot of cleanup because we have the parchment on our tray. So I think these are a great thing to have when you're having a party or just a little snack before your holiday meal, or to give as gifts. I make little bags full of them to give away for people that we see during the holidays. Probably won't be seeing very many people this holiday season, so we'll just have to enjoy them all ourselves. So if you enjoyed watching me make this, please give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and come back and watch me make something else next week.